Hey guys, Tarke here, and I'm going to do a quick guide for my latest character. Now we're going to start off by just doing a quick map. Nothing special, the character is only level 79. And also just a quick heads up, I've literally just finished a 13.5 hour stream. So if I get any of my words in a muddle, then just blame it on that. Now, this is, as you can see, a Siege Ballista champion. And the reason why we're Siege Ballista is Siege Ballista seems fun. We actually planned this character out with Wabachar, who's played a lot of Siege Ballistas in the past. We had him on stream for a few hours, and we sat down and just sort of really messed out the character. Now, your two main options are Champion and Pathfinder. The reason for going Champion is it gives you access to Fortify, which in Hardcore is obviously pretty nice. And, you know, you do have the access to going to Taunt Totems if you want to. I actually have chosen not to do that for this particular character, which was one of the main reasons I chose this character in the first place, but I'll get into that later. Now, a few things just to quickly point out. The damage at the moment is really bad on this build. I'm missing a lot of my DPS nodes. I only recently started picking up crits. I am currently only 29% chance to crit, and this is on a 4 link. So the DPS is actually substantially higher than what you're seeing here. This is a tungsten map, so you're not going to see really any brick walls. But just to give you an idea, you know, of what the damage is doing and how the build kind of operates. Now, Iron Commnader, if you don't know, gives you an additional Siege Ballista for every 200 dex that you have. And the idea with this build is to get to 600 dexterity. I'll finish the rest of the map later. Which means you can have 4 totems. The reason why we go for 600 dex over anything else is it is easy and achievable with very limited and budgeted gear. Now, I'll quickly go over what I'm currently wearing, then we'll go into the tree and the breakdown and all of that. So as you can see, we're using Iron Commnader. This is what enables everything to work, and you can equip this at level 32, meaning you can get very easy leveling. Other than that, we're not really using anything that special. We have some random rare gloves with some stats, some resists, some dex, a decent belt with some wed and some resists. This is also an elemental version, very important, not poison based, so we just want wed everywhere we can. Just some boots which fix my resistances, have movement speed, have dex. Okay-ish ring. I slapped on some flat lightning damage on there, has a bit of mana regen, kind of helpful. Another ring here which has some good damage, some wed, some dex, a little bit of life. I would like a bit more life, but the resist is on there is okay. Another bit more mana regen. And then we're using a 3-wrap talisman. Now the 3-wrap talisman isn't required, but since we're playing in a league where we can get hold of talismans, having something like this is very nice. Having 15% increased attributes, this rolls up to 16%. It's obviously really nice for scaling up to dexterity. We're using a drill neck, but your ideal quiver is a GG Rares quiver. To give you an idea of what you want to be looking for, you want to be looking for a quiver like this, but just with higher rolls. So you want this quiver with a 35% or higher wed roll, and then it will outperform this quiver. So something like this, but then with also something like attack speed or flat elemental damage on there, and you'll be an overall DPS increase. For the helm, we're using a Star Conjurer's head. Star Conjure got buffed to all hell and is now basically BIS for this build. It gives up to 70 dexterity, 10% attack speed, some crit chance, a bunch of evasion, and up to 100 life. Basically a very nice helm. And then for the chest piece, we're actually using Hiri's Ire. Now this again gives a lot of dexterity, a lot of flat elemental damage, and some chance to dodge attacks and dodge spells. Now, out of all of this gear, the only thing which is mandatory is the Iron Commnader, and I would argue the Star Conjurers. Everything else is just up to personal preference, and for people wondering, this is Blood of the Karuri. This got buffed quite heavily in the latest patch, and I actually really like these. These are basically super bubblings, so as you can see, it heals you for, with full quality, be about 3.5k, 3.6k life over 2.5 seconds, and then it heals you again at the end. So it's basically just a super bubbling. Otherwise, we're using a Diamond Flask to get better crits, a Silver Flask for more attack speed, and a Quicksilver for general clear. Now let's get into the skill tree and all that good stuff. So this is the base that you're working with. Now the routing might seem a little bit odd to you, but again, the Iron Commnader means that we need as much dex as possible. We're going with 600 in this case to get the additional totems. Anything past the threshold, so once you've hit 600 dex, anything which doesn't get you 800 dex is wasted. You can see I've actually managed to get to exactly 601 with a perfect character setup to waste as little dex as possible. But anyway, so for the champion start, go through the champion, go through the attack suit, because this is an Ellie build, not a poison fizz build. Quickly for the Ascendancy options, Fortify, very important. First Strike, Last of Fall, gives you some damage. Pretty sure that the Intimidate gets procced by your totems. Not 100% sure. I think it's procced. Don't know. Even without it, it's pretty good. And then Inspiration gives you more damage, more movement speed. Now, originally, as I said previously, I was planning on doing Conqueror into Worthy Foe. The reason being is both Conqueror and Worthy Foe can be procced by your totems. When you drop your totems, they would taunt, give you damage reduction. Taunted enemies would take, this is like shock, so it's a more multiplier, and would deal. So this taunt combined with taunt normally would be 18% less damage taken. With that, you have the reduced damage here, reduced damage from Fortify. Very tanky option. The problem being is this build, as you can see, I want to be using Frenzy throughout the maps. I don't want to be in an awkward situation where I'm taunting off my totems, and some maps are taunt immune because for some reason that's an affix, and Shaper is taunt immune, so on and so forth. I decided against it. It's like you can't play around with, and also it's not worth using until you have your Uber Ascendancy, which I don't have on this character yet. So for now, I'm just going to run this, and when I get Uber, I will try out Worthy Foe and see if I like it. But anyway, pretty straightforward. Come through attack speed. Why do we get the Mana Flows, Druidic Rite, and Primal Spirit? Int. Int is kind of a roadblock in this build. Int is the only thing you struggle with. Ideally, you would be running Wrath. However, we're running Anger and Herald of Ice right now, so we don't need to worry about Int requirements. But ideally, I will get enough Int that I can run a level 21 Wrath and also a capped out Elemental weakness. At the moment, my weakness is like level 15 or 14 because of my stat requirements. So getting this gives us Int, it gives us mana regen. And again, we do cast our Siege Ballistas off mana. You can see we can spam it pretty hard. You can also run a Clarity. We have room for a Clarity. I just haven't fitted one into my links yet. But mana isn't really an issue in the slightest. And with Clarity, it definitely isn't. With these nodes taken, that is. Come through Bravery. I like getting the regen. Some people don't like the regen. You can drop Mastering if you want to. And then Fury Bolts, Beam, Life, Jewels. You want one Rain of Splinters. It rolls 30 to 50% reduced totem damage, which obviously is a bad thing. But it gives your totems fire 2 additional projectiles. That's why my totems fire off 3. You could, in theory, socket these out for bosses, but really it's not worth the aggro. Pick one of these up. They're like a Chaos for a perfect one. Really nothing too crazy. Rush up to Totemic Zeal. This is what I did while leveling. So I came down to here, threw in Rain of Splinters, rush up this way. Early on, you can put a Static Electricity both here and here, and that'll give you a lot of flat damage. That's what I'm currently running on my character. But ideally, you want something like increase maximum life, crit multi, attack speed with bows, etc. Resist, stat requirements. Come through this way. Totemic Zeal. Totemic Zeal gives you increased totem placement speed. Very, very important. As you can see, this is a build which is all about planting as many totems as possible. So you get increased totem placement speed on the Iron Commnader itself. Quality on the bow gives totems placement speed, and then you get Totemic Zeal on the tree. You also have the access to either placement speed, enchant on helm, or attack speed would be the two I would recommend. There is the damage one, but attack speed makes the aiming on it better, just generally makes them better. Placement makes them feel smooth to play. Pick with whatever you can get. Fill in certain life as you need it, then travel down this way. Now, I didn't actually start getting my crit until very recently, which is why in my tree, if you have a look, you can see that I'm still filling in crit here, I'm still filling in Force of Nature. I leveled all the way to 70 without taking any DPS nodes. The only DPS nodes I had were Fury Bolts, and then I picked up Primeval around about level 50, and then I just went all the way through. This character felt absolutely fine until about tier 1 maps around about level 70. It felt a little bit slow before I started filling in my crit. The second I started filling in my crit nodes, and again, our crit chance is pretty pathetic right now, only 29% without Power Charges active, without Dying Flask active. The second I started filling in crit, it suddenly felt amazing again. So yeah, you can level just going through the life nodes, which is pretty satisfying. And also pretty safe. Grab Druidic Rite. Druidic Rite gives more mana sustain. Obviously, mana sustain is important to make the build operate. Flask Charge is gained, Flask Charge duration. Flask time uptime is always really nice. Come through here. Now, this might look a little bit awkward to you, but for 2 points, you get 30 dexterity. We need dexterity. Gives you accuracy. We need accuracy. We're a crit build. Gives you attack speed. Gives you access to Heart of Oak, which is life regen. Gives you access to Primal Spirit, which gives you int. We need int. Flask Charge is gained, mana regen. And then you have access to life evasion later on in the tree. Come through, grab Herbalism. Come down here, grab Primeval Force, get the crits. come up, get the jewel, get the crit. Right, I like acro and phase acro. Some people don't like phase acro. If you want to drop phase acro, either pick up frenzy charges, and we do use frenzies in this build. The frenzies do increase damage of our totems, or pick up life, or pick up whatever. But yeah, I like phase acro. If you don't like it, cut it. Just don't tell me about it, because I love phase acro. Come through this way, pick up Revenge of the Hunted. You can fill in the rest of the wheel if you want to, but I just get these 3 points. We do have a good life total. Force of Nature, come up this way first, then get the life. So as you can see on my tree, quite clearly, I raced up this way, filled in a bunch of life, got Totemic Zeal, came through, picked up this int node because I needed int at the time, rushed all the way up here. I'm going to fill in my crit, Force of Nature, then I'll fill in phase acro, then I'll just start filling in more life on the tree, and then past the 92 mark where this character is like capped out, you choose, do you want more life? Pick up stuff like Profane Chemistry, pick up this evasion life here, pick up evasion life here. You can just get this bad 4% life here, but oh well. Do you want more damage? Pick up more frenzy charges, whatever. It's all very, very flexible. If you're slightly short on dex requirements, you can pick up Fangs of the Viper. Gives you 20 flat dex, gives you some movement speed. You can also pick up Depth Perception to get some dex, some accuracy, and some crit chance, which is all fairly decent. Basically, you have a lot of flexibility, access to a lot of jewels. Really cool stuff. Now, the most important thing with this character is the links and the items. Let's break that down briefly. So, Siege Ballista is our main setup, and you can quite easily just work through what's good, what's not. I highly recommend faster attacks over Elemental Focus, even though Elemental Focus is a higher tooltip sheet increase. Faster attacks greatly increases the AI of the totems and generally just makes them feel a lot smoother to play with. Pick between the two. I will run fast attacks when I get a 5-link. But otherwise, you just want to be going for Siege Ballista, fast attacks, Wed, added lightning, added cold, early focus would be your 6th link. If you're low on crit, you can full crit in. If you manage to make a full lightning version, if you have all of your build tailored just around lightning damage, you can also think of running a lightning pen. But currently, this is like a multi-element build. We use a Frenzy Curse on Hit setup in our chest, which is Frenzy, Curse on Hit, Elemental Weakness, GMP, Power Charge on Crit. In a 4-link, you don't have the Power Charge on Crit. On the 5-link, you have Power Charges. Currently, I don't have a way to generate Power Charges, so my crit feels a little bit meh. But the second I get a second 5-link, it will be full in. You offer 10 scours. Let's just quickly do this trade. Apologies. But yeah, currently it feels completely fine just on 4 links. The 5 links are going to be very huge. I'm currently doing Siege Ballista, faster attacks, Wed, added lightning. We'll get even more flat LE damage with the 5th, and then obviously the power charges will be a very substantial... Yes, I saw the offer. Will be a very substantial DPS increase. Please don't waste any more of my time. Thank you. Back to the guide. Sorry about that. So, 6th link, you can run anything like Cull, faster attacks, Pierce if you want to. If you manage to get dual curse, you could fit another curse in there. You could run either Temp Chains, Enfeeble if you want more defense. You could run Conductivity if you manage to get a pure lightning version going on. For auras, you want to be running either Wrath Herald of Thunder. Again, tired of being talking for 13.5 hours. If you have enough int. If you don't have enough int, as I currently don't, you go for Anger Herald of Ice. Our totems cannot proc the Herald of Ice effect, it just gives us additional damage. If you feel like you have enough damage, you can drop the Herald of Ice and run something like an Arctic Armor or a Purity if your resists are lacking. And then just go for a Summon Ice Golem and then either Enduring Cry or Rallying Cry in your floating links. I'm currently running Enduring Cry. The main playstyle is drop the totems, maintain charges, and then there's a little bit of downtime against single target, so dropping on the odd Enduring Cry doesn't feel that bad. Gives you a little bit of extra defense. If you want more damage, run Rallying Cry or just anything. We have an empty button. We may as well put something in the button. Immortal Call in a cast and damage taken with increased duration and Val Lightning Trap. Val Lightning Trap is amazing. Gives us consistent shocks. You can also run Val Haste or Val Grace. Then Blink Arrow fast attacks increased duration with either the Val Haste or Val Grace. Having the increased duration on the Blink Arrow is something I'm kind of grown fond of. I currently don't have it set up in my current links. My current links are a bit all over the place. But it means that on bosses, with all the totems out, with the blinks out, you can also fit a mirror arrow setup in there if you want to really mess with minion AI. It just means that they're scrambling, looking to find you. Now, the most important bit is the gearing, because we have these very strict stat requirements. This is the stuff that I've currently got set up. So, Iron Commnader, boom. The perfect quiver would look something like this. Yeah, this is literally perfect rolls, but oh, dude, it'd be so juicy. Star Conjures, now 6.3k life with Shaper's Touch. Shaper's Touch is amazing in this build. Currently, I don't have a Shaper's Touch because very few people are running Shaper in the hardcore Legacy League. Give it a week or two, the price will be pretty affordable. These are always really cheap because these are considered the bad item of Shaper. You just need to wait for the farmers to get onto it. So it gives you +1 life per 4 dexterity. We have 601 dexterity. We gain a lot of life from these gloves. Seems good. You also get a bunch of accuracy, which is a nice little DPS increase. They're just really solid gloves. If you don't have the gloves, just do what I'm doing. Run a decent rare. Seems good. A pair of boots. Ideally, you have dex on like 2 pieces with my current setup, but just boots with life, movement speed, dex, any resist you need. I'm doing this with a 3-rat talisman. You can see I haven't actually put anything else on it. I haven't put life on it. I haven't put anything. And I've still got 6.3k life. The reason being is I didn't want to make this completely perfect 3-rat talisman because it's kind of unrealistic. But this is actually a pretty tanky build once you have everything filled into it. You would want to have 2 opal rings. If you can't afford opal rings, then you'd want something like diamond rings. Again, yeah, I've been a bit liberal with the wed rolls on there, but I just want to see like how high it could get. Do not expect to get a ring like this, but it's just a rough idea. Ballpark, again, we have no stats on this. Whatever. You can spread stuff out between the load. Belt, wed, reduced flash charges used is nice. I like having reduced flash charges used. If you can fit the strength on there, it gives you more additional life. But whatever. Flasks, you want a quicksilver flask, a silver flask, a diamond flask. That's core. The Wise Oak. Now, I've been talking about this flask for a long fucking time. Pox has started to talk about it. Mathel started to talk about it. People are starting to realize this is a really, 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 really good flask. If you can get your resistances to match up, ideally, you know, you'd have 3 resists perfectly the same. Quite unrealistic. This is another thing which kind of promotes going for the all-one lightning type. The reason why I pick lightning is Wrath just scales very well, conductivity, early weakness, but if you can have it so that you're all just 1 damage type, then using Wise Oak becomes a lot easier, meaning you get the 20% pen. So if you don't understand what this flask does, this gives you 10% reduced damage taken of whatever your lowest element is. Ignore the whole uncapped thing. It just means your total elemental resistances while you're sitting in hideout. Whatever your lowest resistance is, 10% reduced damage of that type. Whatever your highest resistance is, 20% pen of that type. In the case of your resistances matching, you get the buffs for both. So for example, if I had 50 cold res and 75 lightning and fire, I'd get the pen on the 75 lightning and fire. In the case where I had 100 of all 3, I would get the reduced damage taken of all 3 and the pen for all 3. Really good. Fed and life flask, whatever. For jewels, we've already covered the jewels. Yeah. But so far, I'm really enjoying the character. It's been proving particularly fun, and I'm looking forward to getting everything up there. Wab has just come online. Lol. But yes, he is playing it as a Pathfinder, and to change the tree to fit Pathfinder, drop these 5 points, put 5 points here. The advantages and disadvantages of Pathfinder. Pathfinder will get more raw damage. It gets 10% elemental pen. Elemental pen is very, very helpful. It gets some attack and movement speed. Reduced elemental damage taken is nice. Obviously, this is totem build, going to talk about reflect, but it's still reduced incoming damage. And you get a little bit of damage here with the immune to stealth one comboed in. So you're looking at like 40% increased damage here, a bit of pen, a bit of attack speed. We, however, get 15% attack speed going this way, so we match the attack speed. We got Fortify, which is obviously more defense. And then if you go this way, it's a case of getting 75% increased damage versus 40% increased damage and the pen. The pen does make it pull ahead, but the DPS isn't that different. This is a much tankier option with the Fortify. But obviously with this, you need to scale in all the flask effectiveness. The second you start using something like a Wise Oak, then Wise Oak plus Pathfinder equals crazy penetration flask effectiveness. It's something to consider. Anyway, I'm going to end the video here because I'm really tired and need to have a nap. I'm Tarke. This is a Crypty. Have a good day. Bye-bye.